Mogul Motivation, empowering and inspiring entrepreneurs and dream chasers worldwide, 1 week at a time. Presented by True Stories Media. And I'm your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. When we hear the term generational wealth, we always think about money. We think about tangible things, boats, cars, mansions, currency in some form. But generational wealth also applies to other things. Generational wealth can come in the form of support, the non-tangible things, the things you can't really see, but the things that's so important. And that's what you're going to hear on this episode of Aspire Higher with Darrius Gates. He's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. He had a very successful athletic career in high school and college, but he didn't get to that point. And he's very vocal about this. He didn't get to that point without the strong support system of his family, his parents, his stepfather, his siblings. And he talks about how he inherited that form of generational wealth, that support, that love, and how he's trying to pour it into his children and the next generation. Here's his journey in his words. Darrius, at what point did you make the decision that you want to be an entrepreneur? Did you always feel that way, or did you pivot at some point in your life? Like, tell us, how did that come about?
Well, man, so basically my dad kind of sparked the entrepreneurial spirit, as far as he's always worked for himself. Mm-hmm. Like hustling, owning trucks, working on trucks, driving trucks, plowing snow, because he owned a lot of dump trucks, right? So he would plow snow in the winters and stuff like that. He had a big pickup and stuff like that. So, his work ethic, man, it was kind of inspiring for me to see how hard he worked for his family. So, and growing up, he always kind of made it okay for us to go to school and be in a corporate America and stuff like that. But he kind of always just put that spark in our ear, man, you can work for yourself. As long as you work hard, you can do anything you want to do. I'm going to support you with anything that you want to do, but I'm going to show y'all how to get out here and get it. You know what I mean? So that kind of sparked the journey, as far as just in my blood. Hustling and working hard is just in my blood. But when it comes to what I'm doing now, as far as with the trucks, of course, he is a truck driver. I grew up around trucks. On Saturdays, my dad would pick me up and I would go to his job, driving the trucks with him or riding the trucks with him, and kind of just built that love for trucks, just being around him. He would be working on trucks. I'm running around the truck yard and handing them tools and stuff like that. Yeah. And while he was working on trucks, I would be hopping in the driver's seat, acting like I'm riding a truck. So even in school, when the teachers would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always grew up saying I wanted to be a truck driver. This is without me knowing, how much money people make, what's the classy or the glitz and glamour type professional jobs and stuff like that. I just wanted to be a truck driver because I wanted to be like my dad. Yeah. So when I got into corporate America, finally, after searching, when we came out of college, it was during the recession, so it was kind of hard to find jobs. I'm not sure if you went through that as well, but 2011, the workforce, it's just, man, people that's been in the workforce for 5-6 years is out of job. So what you think is going to be like for us, fresh out of college, no experience, and for me, fresh out of college, I didn't have any internships, man. I was under the impression that you go to college, you get a degree, you're going to just get a good job. And that was my mistake. And we're going to get into that too, bro. But just to keep answering your question. So just going through that journey and not being able to find a job, knowing I had to rely on somebody else to give me a job, it was just not a great feeling. So when I finally broke into corporate America, I saved up money just to get out of it, because I knew from that first point of searching for a job, I had to rely on somebody else, my livelihood, or even looking at my future of having a family one day. I'm solely dependent on somebody, being kind enough to give me a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like they allowed you to,
Yeah.
the privilege to work here or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I was trying to find the right words for it, but it's kind of like that feeling of knowing my destiny wasn't in my own hands.
Mm-hmm.
And only the lucky people stumble into jobs that's needed. Like it's high turnover or it's not too many qualified people. It's you lucky if you stumble into those types of jobs because now, the roles are kind of reversed. Now you kind of got the industry, by the balls, I guess. But, I just never liked that feeling, and I wanted to always do my own thing and invest in my first truck when I saved up money after, getting my first job. And shout out to Tim Swanson, man. He's an alumni at Indiana State football who gave me that first opportunity at a first professional job. And I'm forever grateful for him because he gave me opportunity, and every time I see him, I tell him thanks. So it kind of led into something that the journey from there to where I'm at now is kind of like I'm so appreciative because I wouldn't be here without the opportunities that somebody gave me. But I kind of want to help change that narrative that people can kind of, build up their own entrepreneurial journey without needing that initial opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like, you had, you was watching, your father, your entire childhood, just, it seems like all his businesses revolved around a truck somehow, whether it was plowing snow, you know what I'm saying? The big rigs or whatever. So you had that inspiration there. And then, we talked about the recession. It's hard to get a job. You finally get one. But like the whole time you was at that job, you was saving up to invest in your first truck. So you was already forward thinking, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's very important because you gotta be forward thinking, with anything you do. A lot of people, I think that's what they messed up at because they kind of like just be spontaneous with things. And sometimes it works out for people, but most of the times it doesn't. And, in the industry that you are in, I will assume being spontaneous ain't going to cut it. So you invest in your first truck. You saved up to invest in your first truck. How much did your first truck cost? Like, to get to that point?
So the first truck was a 7-year-old truck. And at the time it was going for $34,000. And I had been searching for, how it is when you, just like you buying a home or something, you ain't got the money yet, but you shopping. I was shopping.
Right. Yeah. Oh man, I know that all too well.
I was shopping for trucks for about a year before I bought the truck, and man, I had been visiting on every weekend. Me and my dad would go to the dealerships and test drive trucks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and because he's the expert, right? So of course I'm taking him. So he'll be teaching me over that year. So not only did I save up and I was forward thinking, saving up, but I was forward thinking on dragging him out every Saturday to tell me what he's listening for, tell me what he's looking for in a truck. We would go to the dealership and he'd say, "No, we don't like that one." I'd be like, "Why?" And he'd tell me, he'd be like, "Oh, because this is rusted, or this is going bad. This is the type of repair it's real expensive, so you don't want that." So it was kind of cool because I had that expertise on my side to help me and educate me on what to look for on trucks. Now I could go look at trucks. After that first year or two, I was able to go look at trucks and I knew what to look for. And so that first truck was $34,000. I put $11,000 down because as a first time truck buyer, you get the type of financing they call a second chance loan. or a second chance purchase or funding. So what that means is that I'm getting the same type of deals that I'm high risk. I'm a high risk purchaser. Basically, I'm owing money and I'm high risk because I'm new in the game. Yeah. So the same type of deal that a bad credit person would somebody with bad credit would get.
Yeah.
So high interest. It was actually a terrible deal as far as the monthly payment I had to pay like $1,500 a month, which was high at the time for a $34,000 truck. To put that in perspective, I was paying $1,500 once I showed that I could pay a truck off. In 2018, I bought a $60,000 truck and my payment was $1,500 a month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Huge difference.
A 3-year-old truck compared to a 7-year-old truck, the same payments. You know what I mean? But I had to take the risk to show them that I could do it, and that I didn't make much money. That I could tell you that the first year because of that high interest loan. But I paid for the education to run the truck. You know what I mean? And then after I got that experience, then I could cash in on the back end. So, like you said, forward thinking, and just knowing that you got to pay to play. You got to pay to get your education, that, the trial and error.
Yep.
So it was kind of, I went into it knowing that I wasn't going to make much money because of, going in and buying the high interest loan. But I knew what the future could be. And I kept my 9-to-5 job. This I was just making side money. So I didn't need the money from the truck. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, it worked out. So I was still working my job, getting the guaranteed money while I'm playing around with my hobby and my passion and a potential career change. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I looked at it. And so that was kind of how that first purchase went. And then to go back even before then, I got to thank my mom too, because that $11,000 that I put on the down payment on that trip. When I came home from college, couldn't find a job, my mom said, come home, live with me. And I was like, man, I mean, I ain't got nowhere else to go. And we had a long talk about my plans, and my mom was the same way when I was a little kid she's so consistent. She's the same mother and advice giver and mentor of life when I was, 22.
Yeah.
And she said, look, I'm not going to make you pay no bills. I'm not going to make you pay no rent. We going to be okay. We can support you. We can feed you. The only thing we ask is that, and she was okay with me partying and staying out late as long as I wasn't doing nothing stupid and hang. She knew my friends, Stevan, Kellen, my boys. We all responsible young men, so she never really tripped about me hanging out and stuff like that. So, but her advice or her stipulations of that was, you need to save and pay rent to your savings account. Don't pay to me. Pay rent to the same rent that you would pay if you was living on your own when you get your first job. You pay rent to your savings account. So basically, I paid $1,000, which in college, we was paying like $800 or something like that a month between two or three roommates. And so I was like, okay, 1,000 sound like something. I'm going to Chicago, so 1,000. I don't know how much apartments cost in the Chicagoland area because
too damn much sometimes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, 1,000 sound like something decent. She's like, okay, pay it when you landed your first job. You doing what you do, and just pay 1,000 to your savings account. That's how I saved up. And that was in 2014, so we kind of skipped a little bit. So in 2010, when I first got out of college, I couldn't find a job, right?
Right.
So then I went back to Indiana State to go get my master's degree to basically buy time, because I swear I tried applying for every industry, so I'm like, look,
I feel your pain. Trust me, I feel your pain.
Yeah, I was like, I just got to go back to school and do something productive. You know what I mean? So my first when I made that decision, my brother Dennis lived at Florida State at the time, and he coached basketball for Leonard Hamilton. He was assistant coach at Florida State basketball team. And he was like, okay, you going back to school next fall? All right, this spring, come to Florida and live with me. So I went to live with my brother Dennis for about 5-6 months before I went back to Indiana State. And I'm like, man, I don't want to pay for school. So he was like, okay, well, find out how you can be a graduate assistant, that you can be on scholarship or get paid. They're going to pay for your tuition. They're going to pay for your room and board. You're not going to make no money, but you're going to buy some time to figure out what you want to do. You can be in coaching. You can do this. You can do that. So I was a graduate assistant coach in the weight room at Indiana State where I played football at. Mm-hmm. So, I got my basically a free master's degree. And I was thinking about being a strength coach or a basketball coach like my brothers. And, my brother Armand is now, at the time, he was coaching at, was it like Loyola? And, right now he's at Nebraska. But either way, I wanted to be a coach because I wanted to be like them too, and then they still my role models to this day. And so seeing my brother work ethic when I lived with him was crazy because he's waking up. The coaching lifestyle is crazy, first of all. They working about 20 hours a day.
A lot of people don't know about how tedious and, just how much of a grind that coaching lifestyle is. A lot of people don't know that. Man. I just recently figured that out myself in like the past 3-5 years.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, it's hard. It's you seeing how hard he worked. It put some stuff in perspective for me on knowing, okay, this is how. So basically seeing my dad work ethic, seeing my brother work ethic, my mother work ethic, seeing, my other brother work ethic, my sister, got her degree, later in her upper 20s and never gave up through her adversities. And she had my niece, at an age where, she would have been graduating, getting her degree and stuff. And we just resilient. And my family is my heroes, period. Yeah. My role models, they my family. So I'm the youngest, by the way. And that's why I look up to them all, because this is, my big brother, my older sister, my parent, I look up to them all. So yeah, then we fast forward through all of that coaching at Indiana State. And then we get to 2014 where I graduate again. And now it's time for me to find a job again. And that's when my mom sit me down and I finally came back home after. I didn't come home until I got a job. So I got a job, but then I came home. And then that's when we had that talk where I was going to pay myself $1,000 a month. And that's how I saved up to get that first truck. I know that's a long story, but that's how I saved up.
I mean, it's a long story, but it's a necessary story. It's a relevant story because as I'm hearing you talk, like basically, you're blessed because you had a family structure that it ain't even just about hard work. Hard work is a huge, component of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, we understand if you want something in this world, you got to work for it. We get that. So, it ain't the fact that just your family worked hard, but it's the fact that your family had that support system. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's like y'all had that support system. Cause like when you said that your mom was like, nah, don't pay me nothing, but you're going to pay yourself. That's what you need to do. That's going to be your rent to live here. You're going to pay yourself. Yep. If you ain't going to pay yourself, then I ain't got nothing for you. You know what I'm saying? That's powerful because we live in a culture to where, and I don't want to pick on our people, but our people is all I know because I'm black. So I'm just going to use our people as an example. Right. But we live in a culture to where parents, they take from their children. You know what I'm saying? They take from their children, is, you need to pay X amount of dollars for rent. Like I know a friend of mine had a very great job, and, fell on hard times. So basically had to move back in with the parents to, get their weight back up. And, they were still working at this job. And the mother of my friend found out how much my friend made and was like, oh, you need to pay us more rent. Mind you, my friend was already paying rent, but the mother said, you got to pay us more just because you can.
Come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? So when we live in a culture where so many parents that operate like that or in, similar fashion, to hear your story, that's comforting because
Yeah,
now they not taking from you, they pouring into you.
exactly.
And it's kind of like you went through all of this adversity. You bought your first truck. It's kind of like when you finally officially started your business and left your job, and we're gonna get to that in a moment. It was just smooth sailing from there. And of course, no business operates, without bumps and hurdles. But it just seems like you already did the heavy lifting
Right.
to prepare you to move this boulder once you got out there in the field.
I got to mention my stepfather, man, because since I was a teenager, he was always there, supporting me with anything positive that I had going on. And whether it was, being upset about things in sports or, having trouble finding jobs and brainstorming on different career opportunities, he was always there brainstorming with me. And and he really taught me, he treated me like a son, man. And that's kind of life changing to now that I'm grown and seeing the role that he played in my life, being able to step into our family and fit in and be himself. And he just taught me a different phase of what being a man is all about. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Shouts out to him for that. Without him too in my life, I probably, it'd be a lot harder. He definitely helped, and he was always there every step of the way. So I got to give him his shout out, man, because nobody could tell me he's not blood. You know what I'm saying? He's family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My nieces, he's granddad, so he's 100% in this thing. And I got to give him his shout out because, man, I love him like a father. So I'm blessed to have two father figures, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to him, man. That's why I look at my family as heroes, because it's like, I have no choice but to reciprocate that and do it even better for my kids. And me and one of my business partners, we say the same thing. Our kids not moving out the house. They not moving out. They not moving out until they in a position where they can purchase a business or do stuff with cash if they wanted to. Like, not just when they barely can. No, I got to do it a little bit better than how my mother did it for me. Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm trying to preach to everybody, is because without those opportunities, I definitely not here where I'm at right now. I'm still trying to scratch out of the hole without my family support. And I tell them all the time when we talk, of course they don't want to talk about it. Of course they don't, they brush it off, but I tell them, I'll be dead serious. Like, thank you. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. Thank you. Till this day, when I talk to my mom, when I talk to my brother, whenever the stuff come up, I just say thank you, and they know what I'm talking about. And and they look at it as their duty. They don't look at it as doing a favor. They don't look at it as holding something over my head.
That's beautiful.
They don't want the money that they helped me save to go in vain or be wasted on partying or stuff that we know that we can do that ain't going to give us value. The exact words, if you're going to do something with this, I'm going to help you anytime you need something. Yeah. Anytime you need something, you just got to be responsible. And I respect that so much, because that's any family member you name, that's their mentality. And that's kind of what I want to spread and preach and spread that same type of love, because my mom and my dad, they both understand that they not the future. They got grandkids. They want to make sure their grandkids is in great position. So It's like they didn't live their life. They did what they did. And it's our turn to take the baton and do something greater than what they did, using the same principles that they instilled in us. And that's, I respect them so much for that.
And that's how you build that generational wealth. That's exactly how you build it. Like, you know, and you was in construction, correct? Like your corporate America job, that was construction, right?
Yeah, so I started off as a safety manager,
Okay.
and then I transitioned into project management, building high-rise buildings in
Okay.
the Texas area.
So when you building that high rise building, what's the very first thing you gotta establish?
Well, when you build a high-rise building, you have to basically go through the drawings and make sure everything is set for our vendors that supply us with our materials we need. So I'm on a concrete side. So we specialize in concrete. So the foundation and the skeleton of the building, what holds it up from the foundations all the way to, you see a building that's being constructed. You don't see no glass windows on it or nothing. All you see is concrete slabs and columns. That's what we do. That's what I do. So basically the most important thing is getting your rebar and your concrete drawings and getting your submittals approved by the structural engineer.
And that's exactly what your family was doing for you. You know what I'm saying?
Building that foundation.
That's what they was doing for you. They was building that foundation. And it wasn't even just for you. It's like you said, they have grandkids, right? You got nieces and nephews. You got kids. It's literally for everybody that's coming after you. You know, it's like, everything you do now is a foundation for somebody that's coming after you. And everything they do is a foundation for somebody coming after them. So, that's the amazing thing about your journey. Despite the fact that it's a long, so, we ain't win, that don't matter. You know what I'm saying? That's the amazing thing about it. So you started, what's the name of your company? DT Gates Logistics?
Yep.
All right. So you started your company, and tell us about how, the success your company has accumulated in these couple of years since you started your business. So
basically right now in 2021, we are projected to do over $3 million in revenue this year. And of course, it's always, especially with a small business, it's always small fine tuning things that you try to improve every year to make your profit margins a little bit greater. So, excuse me. So I just think it's remarkable where we at right now, because in 2020, early 2020, we were only at about 400,000. And basically, like, you probably see some of my videos and stuff that's playing. My company got stronger through the crisis. It got stronger through adversity, while, the rest of the adversity that was going on in the world, with us being what did they call it? A critical or a critical industry. So they kept us rolling. They didn't stop us. They didn't stop the essential. Yeah, that's what it was. The
essential businesses.
Yeah, essential businesses kept rolling, because obviously trucks, they give us our supplies. So I tell it to everybody all the time. The moment that trucks aren't needed, that means humanity is screwed, because trucks bring all of our supplies to either distribution centers, and then smaller trucks like box trucks and Sprinter vans, they're going to bring them straight to the doors or straight to the stores.
Yeah.
To be unloaded. So it's just a blessing that I wasn't in an industry that would have shut me down or forced me to close my doors on that small $11,000 investment that I made as my first investment. You know what I mean? It would all came crumbling down. So it's a blessing that and I thank God all the time for that too.
Absolutely. It's like trucks is the new age railroads, in the 1800s, that's what the railroads were.
Exactly.
And that's what trucks are now. How many trucks do you have in your fleet? How many drivers do you have?
So right now, our fleet is up to 13. I'm talking to 2 owner operators and fleet owners to add on to the fleet, and I'll be at 15. Hopefully within the next month.
Okay, 15.
So right now I have 12 drivers. So I actually have an open truck. I'm hiring a driver right now, actually.
Okay, and you guys basically supply other companies to transfer their products to warehouses or wherever they have to go to.
Right. So we get loads from either brokers or direct shippers, and then my company, we're a carrier. We're categorized as an authorized carrier to carry goods in the United States. And then basically smaller truck owners, they don't have to be labeled as a carrier. They can use my credentials basically to run their truck to, and that's how I started actually.
So is that kind of like freelance in a sense?
Yeah, kind of. It's like you basically are getting started. You're like a subcontractor. You get started without needing like in construction, the general contractor has a license or a business license to be a general contractor. He had to pass a test. The owner had to pass a test to be categorized as a general contractor. And the general contractor hires the plumbers, hires the electricians, and all of these other smaller subcontractors. That's kind of how I'm doing it. When you own a truck, you can be hired on just to supply an asset. I'm just going to supply the truck, and then you're going to pay me for the truck moving.
Okay.
That's how it is.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I kept my 9 to 5 and had my trucks running under another carrier, because I didn't have to run the entire organization. I just had to basically manage my truck and make sure it was in good working condition. That was my only responsibility. And now I'm able to help others come up that way, because it's not always easy doing that, because there's so many people out there, carriers, that take advantage because they got those credentials. They take advantage of these small fleet owners or truck owners and owner operators, and they stealing a lot of, not even stealing, they're just able to take a lot of money because they've got a lot of leverage.
Yeah.
So like
they're squeezing them.
Exactly. They're squeezing the profit out of them. So that's the narrative I'm trying to change too. I'm trying to do business to where I don't have to take so much, and I want to give as much as I can, because they need opportunity. Just like I got opportunity, everybody needs opportunity. I'm actually helping people start their own stuff. My drivers, I'm giving them opportunities to teach them how. Like I'm not trying to keep my foot on nobody's neck for my own personal gain. My drivers will tell you, and you did some footage and you saw the way the drivers talk. Yeah. I'm teaching them and I'm showing them as we talk day to day. I'm always checking on them, and I'm always giving them some type of gem or jewel so they can grow and eventually not work for me. Eventually become a truck owner and all of them. I'm gonna get my own truck and I'm gonna lease it on with you because, man, I love your company. I'm making more money than I ever seen, And hearing that type of stuff is so cool, because it tells me that I'm doing the stuff the right way. I'm doing good business. I'm doing what my mom and dad taught me to do. Because when it comes to improving our people, I've been talking this stuff since college with my college roommates, talking about how screwed up the world is and how we gonna change it. And to be in a position where I'm actually able to impact families and help people make more money and take care of their families better and create more business owners of people that look like us. I'm able to give the opportunities to them that maybe their mother or father, or like you said, a lot of people wasn't as fortunate as me, but maybe I'm the person that can help them and show them how to do good business, because when they get out there, they're going to be doing good business because they're going to try to duplicate what I did.
Absolutely.
That's the legacy that I leave behind.
Absolutely. And, you talk about how you're helping people, not you want to, but the fact that you are helping people. You recently launched the Truck Business Academy.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Truck Business Academy, what it is, and, how is it educating these up and coming truck owner and operators so they can get into the business and eventually, replicate your model and, find success for themselves and their families.
Yeah. So I came up with a Truck Business Academy because during the pandemic, a lot of people was losing their jobs. Right. And a lot of people knew that trucks were still rolling, and they've heard the success and how the truck industry was doing. And they was just buying trucks with their 401k money or that they had from their corporate America job or with their savings. And although it might sound like, okay, the truck, somebody drives a truck and the truck makes money, as simple as that sounds, is very hard to make money in the industry. But you can, with the right mentorship and the right tools, you can. and you can do it fairly quickly, but you have to get a mentor and somebody has to teach you. So what happened was everybody's buying these trucks, friends, family of mine, and they would all call me. But when I'm running an operation, I can't field all of these calls and help everybody with the quality that I like to give them. So I love helping people, but it kind of hurt me because so many people that I knew was getting into it. And I'm in my head, I'm like, I got to protect them. I got to protect them. How can I do it and keep my business running successfully at the same time? So I'm like, I basically, one of my buddies my business partner came in town and showed me how he was coming out with some courses and he was going to be releasing it in the fall. And I thought that was so cool because here I'm running around stressing out because I'm trying to help everybody and keep my stuff floating at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to do it too. So I duplicated what he was doing. He taught me how to do it, came out with the course. Now I'm able to help a lot of people simultaneously and protect them from a dangerous, a risky industry. And basically they're paying. I've already paid for my saying is I paid for the mistakes. So
absolutely
learn from me. I paid for them already. So so people have been getting the course. I've got like 85 to 90 students right now, and stuff is going good, and they're loving the mentorship, and it makes me feel good because everybody's selling these courses for like $700 to $1,000.
Yep.
Same industry, and I'm letting it go for $250 because, like, of course I got to get paid for my time and the money I spent on getting the software and all the tools to do it. But at the same time, it's like these people about to put thousands of dollars on a truck, and they need all the money they need to protect their investment. And I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be good. I don't need $600, $800, $1,000. Take it for $250 and call me when you need me. And that's what, everybody is loving that because, and it makes me feel good because I'm helping people, man. That's the major thing about it. Like for us to change our position socially, it's going to come through economics.
Yeah.
When we're able to work together, when we're able to have more business owners, we're able to have more money in our pocket. We can manipulate and be, when our money is together, we're powerful people. We're powerful people right now because we make people rich.
Yep. Absolutely.
We're the best consumers out there globally. So when our money comes together, we're going to make each other powerful. When we learn to work and do good business and be a good employee for an owner that looks like us, and vice versa, be a good owner for employees that work for you. It's a community at that time. When that takes place, it's a community. You know what I mean? And it's powerful and it's gonna happen. Right now, we're in a great time. And financial literacy is being made cool, which it is cool. And it's, making business moves and it's being made cool. We at a pivotal stage right now. And I'm glad to be in a position where I'm able to teach because just like I told you earlier, I was going to be a coach. And anybody that's a coach or a teacher, they know that they're one and the same.
Yep.
So whether it's sports or whatever it is, I'm good at coaching. I'm good at leading. And it's my duty to be a teacher and a coach and lead by example and be there for people. And I'll be doing my people a disservice if I'm not.
And would you say that's your central motivation for all that you do?
100%. I would say that that's a major motivation, but the number one motivator was the day that I had my first child and then the day that I had my second child. When I had my kids, my motivation, I thought I worked hard before I had my kids, but my hustle and my work ethic, I then understood why my dad worked relentlessly. It wasn't because he wanted to be rich. It wasn't because he just wanted to be a wealthy man. It was because he wanted to protect us. And the only way to do that is by building and protecting your family financially so you can then make any decision you want for your family. So without him having to tell me, I understand that feeling of having your kids relying on you. That's it. It put on the light switch for me. And I don't think, even though everything that I said, I don't know if I'm here right now at the position I'm at right now. I don't know. I know for a fact I'm not at this stage without me having my kids, because it's a lot of late nights. And I know you probably relate to this too. When you work for yourself or you're an entrepreneur, it's nights where you working at 11 p.m. It's weekends where you got to make decisions like, I don't think I want to go out. I got to cover payroll.
It was years I didn't know what a weekend was.
Exactly. And those years that I was saving up initially at home, I didn't go out every weekend. I'll probably be at the bars and I'll be holding the same drink that I had that, I drink to drink in 3 hours. And then the last 2 hours I'm out. It's the ice that's melted that I'm sipping on.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I'm not too proud to say that. I'm actually proud to say that, because that's sacrifice. It takes a strong person to sacrifice. You don't always feel like you fit in. You don't always feel like that you belong. But that's what sacrifice is. You're going to be different when you sacrifice.
Very different.
But, you got to embrace it. I always embrace the grind, and I knew I fit in. I knew I was doing the right thing, because the validation was my dad. The validation was my brothers. The validation was my sister. The validation was my mother. I knew I was doing the right thing because the stuff I seen them do. They didn't tell me, hey, you're doing the right thing every day. No, I would just replay in my mind. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm doing it right, because my heroes, my role models, they showed me through their actions.
And that's why your children will be okay, because they're going to see your actions.
Exactly. And that's my biggest motivator, because I know that they watching me, whether they realize it or not. When they become our age, they're going to remember the times that we walking in right now. And they're going to remember what daddy was doing.
If you enjoyed this episode, ask for two things as always. Number one, leave a 5-star review. And number two, pass it on to a friend who may benefit from it as well. A new episode of Mogul Motivation will be out this Wednesday.